Wendy.
Terrence. So when I moved over here, I needed a job. A friend of the family over here told me that someone was looking for someone to work in his optical store. Oh, well, if I like it, maybe I'll do that. And so I went to work for him and I loved it. And so the company was Salle Opticians, and Ron, who was the owner, we ended up getting married a few years later.
When you consolidate down to one store, feel like a failure closing 3 stores?
I was divided and so many, pulled between the 4 locations. I became more of an administrator, and I realized as we started shrinking that the business where we focused in FIPS was actually increasing. So we didn't really lose people, they came to us in the one location. Business-wise, we became known as the place to go in the city for the best collection of eyewear. We had a high-profile clientele list, athletes, music industry, which was big in Atlanta,
Huge.
actors, you name it. And so we managed to balance that side of the business with the good core opticianry.
Would you be willing to share your revenue numbers?
Ask me a ballpark and I'll tell you if you're in it.
Were you doing over 3 million?
Oh, yes.
Was it over 5 million?
Yes.
Over 8 million?
My idea of a gap year was I need to rejuvenate.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
sit back. I need to look at this. I need to be thankful for longevity that I've had in this industry. And then what do I want to do next?
So you've sold your company. You've taken a corporate position. You took a year off to breathe. I think the next obvious question is, what's next?
I'm excited for the next chapter. And I am going to joining in January.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're buying dinner tonight. She is the Martha Stewart to my Snoop Dogg. Everybody, welcome Wendy Salle to Eye Conversations. Wendy.
Terrence.
People don't realize that comparison is not just out of like jokes. Like, we really are Martha and Snoop. You know what I mean? Like, how many times we talk at least once a week.
At least, I would say every 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
In fact, when I don't talk to you, I miss you.
Yeah. Oh, you hear that, everybody?
I miss my Snoopy.
Wendy misses me. But no, you've been just such an important part of my career, my life, and I'm just so happy that you flew all the way from Atlanta to be here for Eye Conversations.
Today, into the snow.
Look at you. So before we get started with the interview, I would be remiss if I did not comment and congratulate you on that announcement you made on social media today.
Thank you.
So Wendy announced on social media today that
I'm going to be a grandmother for the first time, and not just to one baby. My youngest daughter is having twins.
Oh, she's an overachiever like you.
An overachiever.
Well, cheers to you.
And it's a boy and a girl, so it's perfection.
Oh, it's a boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl.
Wow. Congratulations.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Terrence and Wendy are great names for twin boys and girls.
Names are already decided,
Oh,
T.
gosh.
I didn't have that much influence on it.
Corinne. So my team and I, after we saw the announcement, we got together and we said, what is this baby going to call Wendy? So we got a few names. I want to read them to you. Some things we thought about, and maybe this can, Glamma, because obviously, right? Glamma.
I like it.
Another one was Grand W, short and chic Grand W, because you know he has to differentiate between grandmas. Mm-hmm. The last one was my favorite.
Go on.
Big Mama Wen.
I don't like that one too.
Big Mama Wen. I like Big Mama Wen.
Now, I must tell you though that when I married Lee, he already had grandchildren.
Oh,
and so I actually have 6 already.
Oh, okay.
From my 2 stepdaughters, but my 2 haven't had any, and they just call me Wendy.
Oh, they call you Wendy.
Which I love.
No. We can't do that with these two. We can't do that with these two.
Well, on my social media post, I said, what am I going to be called? What's my title next year? So we'll see what the result is. I think Gigi's winning.
Gigi's good. That's what my nephews and nieces call my mother. They call her Gigi. Yeah, Gigi and Poppy.
It doesn't sound quite as old as grandma.
Right, right, exactly. But now my mother's a great grandmother.
Oh, but I don't even want to think about that.
Well, listen, we're talking a lot about titles, but I want to go back before there were titles. Before there were titles, before there were positions. Tell me about Wendy before she came into this industry, Wendy growing up in England.
Ooh. Well, I didn't move to the US until I was 21. And lived in the northwest. I was born in Liverpool and lived in the northwest of England all of my life. And when I went to college, I did business in college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. England wasn't very prosperous back then, let's just say, and there was a lot of unemployment. And my father lived over here, and so it was easy to come over at the time. And I'd come over on vacation, and I was like, God, the weather's fantastic here. And so, I just decided I didn't have anything to lose, and let's give it a try. So I moved over here in 1987 and loved it. I've been in Atlanta that entire time, and I needed a job. And so that's how I got into optical.
Wow. So what made you, because I think about a lot of people from overseas. I think, New York, LA, Dallas. What made you go to Atlanta?
My father was here.
Okay.
I mean, it was just purely by accident. When he first moved over, he went to Texas. He was in construction.
Got it.
And Houston was booming when he first moved over, and then Texas went into a slump, but Atlanta was booming, and so he moved here. And so, we all ended up being here. My sister and my brother both live here. It's only my mom that's back in England.
Okay. Would you say that growing up, thinking about, I think you guys call it primary school, right? And secondary school in England, and going to college, did you always have this entrepreneur mindset?
No. I wanted to be a dentist. And then my local dentist, who subsequently moved to America, funnily enough, let me come into his office for an afternoon. And after I'd seen 3 or 4 mouths, I was like, no, not for me.
Not for you.
Not for me. And then I think I wanted to be a physiotherapist. I think I just liked the word. But as you get older, I didn't know what I wanted to be, honestly. And that's really why I did business, because I thought, it's not going to go to waste. But I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
So how did you find optics then?
So when I moved over here, I needed a job, and a friend of the family over here told me that someone was looking for someone to work in his optical store. And I interviewed and realized that in Georgia, it's an apprentice state, it's a licensed state, and you can apprentice. And so that was kind of like a hook. I was like, oh, well, if I like it, maybe I'll do that. And so I went to work for him, and I loved it. And so the company was Salle Opticians, and Ron, who was the owner, it was just one store, very, very small business. We ended up getting married a few years later. But when I first joined, it was a single store, and the business was very, very different back then. But I loved it from day one. And so I studied under him as an optician, as an apprentice, and then got my license. And really, that was it. Once I got licensed, that was, now what do I want to do next?
So how long have you been with Salle Opticians then?
Since 1987.
Wow. That was your first
May
job
of
in optics?
1987, yeah.
So up until 2021, the only job in optics you had was Salle Opticians.
Up until 2021, yeah.
Wow. Wow. So
Yeah,
everyone,
long time.
Yeah. So it's interesting. You always told me about your longtime clients. I didn't realize how long.
I've
Those
outlived a
clients
lot
have
of
them.
them, and that's been fantastic because when you think back for however many years it is, 35, 36 years, I had a lot of patients that I saw for many, many years, and then the next generation, their children and their grandchildren. Because I was so young when I
thought
started.
about that. Wow. You were 21 when you started. I mean,
Yeah.
interesting. Very interesting. So you've seen a lot of changes in this industry and in Atlanta in general.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, really have. I mean, I've grown with it. I've grown with the industry. I think that was what was so exciting about it, that it was an industry that was ever changing. And I think it stops you getting bored, right? And so, it's been fantastic.
Yeah. They always say, like, once the industry finds you, then that's it. It's not letting you go.
I know a lot of people in this industry, and none of us set out and said, oh, I want to be an optician when I grow up, right? But everybody that got into opticianry by default has ended up staying in it and loving it, right?
Yeah, it's like a gang.
It is. Gang member.
Exactly. So I want to talk about now. I mean, you have your second husband.
Yes.
Lee. We all know Lee. Kind, gentle guy. But the thing I love about Lee is Lee loves you down.
He better.
That man loves you down. He really, really loves it. To see you two together is just so inspiring. So inspiring.
That's so
And he's in the industry, right?
He is. I mean, he's a little older than me, and he's been in the industry since he was, probably 19 or 20. He started out with Bosch & Lomb in 1974. Wow. So he's had a long and varied optical career too, from his own dispensary, running a very large group of practices in South Carolina. He was on the state board of South Carolina. He wrote the exam. And then he was in lens sales and lab services. So he's had a really good, varied optical past.
Would you say that's helped you a lot as you were building Salle Opticians now as a single owner, single mom at this point? Did it help having someone in the industry, having that partner to help you through the growth pains and the difficult times in business?
Yeah, it really did, because when I started to pivot to build what then became Salle Opticians, you don't really have a barometer of what's happening in the industry or how successful you are or how well you're doing. I mean, I had a lot of peers, but you don't really share numbers, right? I remember reading like Vision Monday when stores or groups of retailers would publish their sales numbers.
Oh, the top 50
Yeah,
retailer.
yeah, right.
And
I'd always go to the bottom because I wasn't bothered about the top ones. And I'd go to the bottom and I'd look at them and I'd say, okay, let me divide the number of locations into the gross sales. And I'd look at what I thought was the per store sales. And I'm okay. I'm not doing too bad. But then Lee had insight into so many practices because he worked the entire Southeast.
Right.
And he would say to me, you have no idea how well you're doing. And I'm like, oh, you have to say that. You're my husband.
Right.
You're my biggest fan.
And he is.
And he is.
And he is.
But it really was a bit more of an eye-opener into what was going on in the industry, kind of, a finger on the pulse that I hadn't had before.
That's amazing. And I think about it, you grew Salle Opticians into one of the most successful optical boutiques, at least in the country. I can't speak for outside the U.S. When you were building Salle Opticians, what would you say was your North Star?
I think I realized, and obviously back in the late 80s, early 90s, independent eyewear was just coming onto the scene, right? I mean, we all remember, those of us that are of my age, remember Oliver Peoples coming and kind of changing the dynamic of product and, their clip-ons, all of that. Matsuda came onto the scene. So I really wanted to not try and compete on price like the chains were starting to do. There were big chains that had, in-house labs, service in an hour, and you can't compete as a small business with that. So how do you differentiate yourself? And so I realized I had to do it based on service and product. And they had to go hand in hand. It had to be the best product that was out there, new, exciting, and it was easy. It wasn't easy to do because there wasn't a lot of independent brands, but it was easy to try and find a different path at that point because the industry was changing.
Right.
And you've got to have the service and the knowledge to back it up.
Out of curiosity, what were those brands? Can you remember the first few brands you started?
Oliver Peoples.
Okay. You're the second person on this podcast that said that Oliver Peoples was a game changer in their store.
Matsuda. There was a brand called Bada. Sama was on the scene. I even remember when Giorgio Armani in its early days was launched, and that was an odd one because it was all secretive and we had to go to a hotel suite and it was invite only. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is, and Armani was huge back then.
Right.
So yeah, it was exciting. Most of the other brands were larger groups, the Turas, the Xylowares, that kind of thing. So it was really fun to find these little niche brands. And the customer or patient response to it was really good, right? So that's how I kind of knew I was on the right track.
And there was I think about a lot of retailers now, they're like, oh, we do a lot through Instagram. We discover a lot of new brands through Instagram. There's so many brands out there now, right? There's so many, it's really amazing to see. Even me, I've been in the industry, not a very short time comparably, but at one point, I felt like I knew about, 65 to 75% of the brands at a show. Now I go to the shows and I'm, discovering so many different brands. So there was no Instagram then. Did you rely on word of mouth, trade shows? How did you discover these new brands?
It was trade shows. I remember when I first opened in Phipps, which became my, large flagship store, looking for brands at that time, which was 1992, I think. And I remember having a conversation with Robert Mark, and he just started distributing Lunor. And it was another new and exciting brand, but I wasn't really traveling to the shows as much then, but realized that if I really had to find new brands, I had to make it a point to go to all of those shows and get more exposure to what was out there.
And that's still what you do. Like, I think about when we worked together, it was like, okay, your team, we have to be at all the U.S. shows, we have to be at the European shows, all of them. So it's interesting how that method still proves to be extremely valuable for you.
It is, and I think, look, by going to the international shows, I think you get a different kind of exposure to what's coming. I think the Europeans have always been a little more fashion forward, and so it's
Agreed.
like the first step to what's coming to the US.
Agreed.
And in the early days, I used to go to those shows and bring product into the US because nobody else had it. Now, some of it was like on the sneak.
Yeah.
Like I remember Dolce & Gabbana before it was distributed over here.
Right.
I had Dolce & Gabbana and I had to sneak it into the country and whatever. But that was fun, right?
Yeah,
being the first to have something was fantastic.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. So at one point, Sally Optician, how at the height of meaning numbers of stores, how many stores or locations did you have?
We had 4.
You had 4 locations.
Yeah, the original one that Ron started, the two of us had. And actually we were still together. We worked together for, I don't know, 15, 18 years.
Wow.
And we had 4 stores. We opened the Phipps store in I think we signed the lease in 92.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So that was the second location.
Okay.
And then I can't remember which one came next, but we opened one in Lenox Square.
Not too far.
Which was across the road, but a very different customer base,
Absolutely.
Huge mall, huge traffic. And then we opened one up in Alpharetta because that was the up-and-coming area.
Sure.
4 stores in a relatively short period of time, I would say.
So why did you choose, I should say, walk me through the decision, the whole process of why you chose to consolidate from 4 stores down to 1 store?
Well, I think the 4 to 3 was a natural because the original one was in Peachtree Center in downtown Atlanta,
Okay.
and the entire demographic of customer changed.
Yes, yes.
It used to be a very professional environment, so we had a lot of attorneys and accountants, and the whole demographic changed as people moved out of downtown or offices moved out of downtown, so that one closed naturally. The one in Alpharetta, I wish I'd done more homework on opening it, because people would come into the Phipps location and we'd get their address and they'd say Alpharetta, and I'm like, well, I have one in Alpharetta. I'm just curious as why you're coming here. We love to come to Buckhead. Should have done a survey on that one. So we ended up closing that, not because of the location, but it was a newer area. The landlord, I think, had jumped the gun with how much signage we could have, and then there was problems with the signage. They closed the exit off from the freeway that got you there, and it was just a lot of problems.
Got it.
So we exited that one, and then Lenox I never really enjoyed, because it was a lot of shoppers that spent the day shopping but didn't necessarily buy or spend the money.
That's so different from Phipps. I've never been around for the other stores, but I think my first time coming to Phipps, I was like, there's like no one here, Wendy. Like, how do you survive? This mall is so quiet. And then you said to me, you probably remember, you're like, they come here to buy,
Yes.
and then they leave.
Yes.
They're not here to hang out.
They come and they spend.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a destination. They have the stores that they like. They go to those stores. They spend money and they leave. And it's a beautiful shopping experience for them because it's not so crowded. They can park easily. There's a couple of nice restaurants where they can have lunch. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Great atmosphere.
Did you ever think when you consolidated down to one store, did you feel like, this is a failure for me closing 3 stores? What was the purpose of now focusing in on one store?
Because I was divided in so many, pulled between the 4 locations, I became more of an administrator. Running the business became the priority as opposed to being an optician and doing what I did well. And I've always been able to build really good relationships, and I miss that. I miss the patient-centric aspect of it. And, staffing is always a challenge.
Right.
And finding people that are on the same page as you are, that want to do the same kind of job that you do, have the integrity and the professionalism, it's a challenge. And so I had a few good people that were working for me, and they were being diluted and pulled in different directions too. And I realized as we started shrinking that the business where we focused in Phipps was actually increasing. So we didn't really lose people. They came to us in the one location. And so I was getting happier because I had a lot less payroll, accounting,
Right.
Overhead, landlords.
Personnel issues.
Issues, because when you got a lot of staff, it's like having a lot of kids, in all honesty. So I was able to refocus on the business, which is what I really loved.
Interesting. So even going from 4 to 1, you would say that one store was able to generate enough.
That was my challenge, and over the 3 years of consolidating, the business was slowly growing, and we got to the point that not only did we match what we had been doing, we far surpassed it.
Fascinating. I think it's like your model, when I'm talking to you, your motto is like, I'm going to grow better, not bigger.
Absolutely.
Focusing on that one, nurture that one store, be able to bring in clients, be able to focus on the experience and everything, which I think is just amazing. So what would you say, at Salle Optician's peak, how did that look for you?
God, it was crazy. It was fantastic. Our peak was really, like most people, COVID times gave us a huge boost.
Sure.
But we'd been steadily increasing every single year to that point. But COVID was particularly big for 2 years. So 2020, 2021, enormous. But business-wise, we became known as the place to go in the city for the best collection of eyewear. We had built a patient base over, how many years at that point? 20 years, right? 20 plus. And we also, prior to our peak, had been working on custom rimless designs for several years. We were a big Cartier vendor, and Cartier was all about custom lenses, custom tinting, custom designs. We did all our lab work in-house. We did all, the facet work that people were looking for. And so we really built this business, and we became the place to go for Cartier eyewear. And we had a high-profile clientele list, athletes, music industry, which is big in Atlanta, actors, you name it. And so we managed to balance that side of the business with the good core opticianry, right? So we never lost any of our basic core customers. We just added to it with every dimension that we added. To the base of that business.
Amazing. I'm a little nosy.
No, not you.
So at the peak at Salle Opticians, would you be willing to share your revenue numbers?
Ask me a ballpark and I'll tell you if you're in it.
Okay. So you said around 2021, 2022. Right?
2020 and 2021, I think, were the peak year. 22 was a great year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all great years.
That's
still,
right. Were you doing over 3 million?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Was it over 5 million?
Yes.
Over 8 million? Oh, wow. Yeah, you're buying dinner tonight. That's amazing. And I'm not asking you that, Wendy, because I want to do a humble brag, right? I'm asking you that because a lot of retailers think that, and it's okay, right? They have to keep on expanding to get to these numbers, opening up multiple locations. But you did these numbers by focusing in on one boutique, one store, one staff.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, that was my challenge to myself. And, I'll give a little shout out to someone who's in the industry that a lot of us know and respect. Mello Thompson at Image Optical in Nashville. We were at Vision Expo one year. This was many, many years ago. I think I'd already started expanding. And I was just chatting with Mello, and I said, so, Mello, you just have the one location. Why don't you open up another one? And she said, well, why would I? Why would I want to double my overhead? And I went, I was like, that's a different perspective. And she's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I think people think that, you have to open more to be successful. I don't necessarily agree.
Well, you've shown that.
I know a lot of people who have had single location successes.
Yeah. So to get to that type of success, were there any sacrifices you had to make personally or professionally?
No, I mean, I was busy.
Yeah.
Luckily my children were older at that point.
Okay.
I think it was more challenging when they were younger and I was building it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they were in school, I had to write a check as opposed to participate. But, I did things after or before work hours. I ran the school store for 3 years.
Really?
And twice a week, I would be at the school at 7 a.m. And, being a retailer, I would order all the supplies and all the kids would come and spend their pennies. I loved it.
Did you do any custom, pencils?
The fancy erasers on the end were a really big business. But what was so cute is I would see them starting at kindergarten, and they'd come to me and I'd say, okay, that's 20 cents or whatever, and they'd open their hand up with this handful of pocket change, and I'd pick out their money. Well, by the time they got a couple of years older and I'd say that's 20 cents, they're not letting me go in their hand anymore. They're dishing it out themselves. The
that's cool.
math had kicked in.
That's cool.
So it was really it was really cute. So I enjoyed that
Yeah.
tremendously. So my kids it always seemed like I was participating a lot, even though sometimes you would have guilt that you couldn't do some things.
For sure, for sure. I interviewed Salima, and she said the exact same thing. She said, but she made it away. You know, the kids came to the store, you know, after school and things of that nature. I want to talk about your daughters. I know both of them. You know, Nicola and Corinne. Corinne has your face. Nicola has your personality to me. Is that true? I mean, even your mannerisms.
Yes, probably.
Like Nicola's mannerisms, watching her is like watching like you. But then I look at Corinne's face, I'm like, oh, she just stole all of Wendy's face.
No, it's true. I look at some younger pictures of me, and I think Nicola looks more like me. She's just so dark, you know.
Right.
The
The
auburn
hair,
hair
yeah.
as opposed to the blonde, where Corinne's a blonde. So
Yeah.
But yeah, we get that a lot.
Definitely. And Nicola is in the industry. She's a licensed optician in Atlanta.
She is.
How does that feel? You know, you started this career. Well, she comes from two optician parents, right? How does it feel to have this full circle moment to watch your daughter now, you know, lead in this luxury eyewear space, a space that, you know, you and her father pioneered in Atlanta?
I mean, I'm very proud of her. She's an excellent optician. I mean, she probably absorbed a lot by osmosis, you know. But for years, as they were growing older and getting close to college age, I would say to both of them, you know, do you want to get into the industry? Do you want to do it? Do you want to come and work with me? No, we don't want to work with you, Mom. Okay, fine. It was purely by chance. Nicola was in between jobs. You know, she was thinking, you know, am I going to go back to college? Am I going to do grad work? And I said, well, just come work for me for a while. And, you know, I needed someone. I think she came in to do office work initially. And she just was a natural at it. And, you know, my staff were like, oh, can we keep her? And so we just progressed from there. And so she apprenticed and became a licensed optician. And she does a fabulous job. So, you know, she had a good training.
Yes.
She
Indeed.
started in the great end of the industry, which is the luxury, high-end eyewear land. And she's had all the training in the customization that we did at Salle Opticians.
You know what I love also about this whole working relationship between you and Nicola? She's not a Nepo baby. She didn't start off as the assistant manager, the manager. She didn't start. She started off as a lower level optician at Salle Opticians.
She did. And I think it's a tough road for anybody's child because, you know, does the rest of the staff, do they give them credit where credit's due, right? Because it's the owner's daughter
That's right.
or whatever.
Yes, a little initiation.
A little initiation,
Yeah.
you know, and I think there were some, you know, maybe some rubs there, but she earned everything she got. She does a fabulous job. You know, she's very successful and, you know, I really look forward to see what she ends up doing.
Yeah, same here.
She loves the industry. She loves it.
I can tell. The passion is there. She has a great eye for fashion.
Yes.
You know, she has appreciation for quality. And I think, you know, whatever her next few years in chapter will be, it's going to be amazing.
Well, you know, she has a different approach to it. She would do all the Instagram posting for Salle Opticians when she joined me and a lot of the social media because I just really wasn't that into it. It's not my strength.
Right.
But she really had a finger on it. And, you know, one of the things we did, which we did several with you, you know, Instagram Lives in the store, which were fantastic, where we would do events and trunk shows and, you know.
Remember Cartier and, what was it called again? Oh, was it Cartier and Cavassier we did? Or
Was it Cavassier?
was it Cavassier? Oh, no. It was Cartier and...
I know it was expensive.
It was expensive.
Whatever it was.
Yeah,
was expensive.
it was. I'm gonna remember.
Cognac.
Cognac and Cartier. Cognac.
Yes.
We got those. It's like let's go ahead and have a
Gina,
little shot.
Well,
Look at some diamonds.
Our most requested tint on Cartier lenses was cognac.
I think I should get some I think I should get a kickback or something.
Yeah, maybe I owe royalties to someone.
All right, I want to move forward a little bit. Let's talk about 2021. 2021. At that point, Salle Opticians, you had the business there for 30 plus years, right? At that point, and you chose after 30 plus years to sell Salle Opticians to LOH. Walk me through, how did that happen? Why did you feel like that was the time now to sell your business?
Gosh, that's a really good question because, we started the conversations in 2020 when a lot of optical was shut down. Atlanta was booming at that time, because we were one of the few cities, or the South. Georgia was open for business. Florida was open for business. And so business was booming. I just think it was good timing. I was getting older. Money at that point was cheap for companies to borrow, right? Mm-hmm. Interest rates were relatively low. And I've always watched these cycles in the industry, buyout cycles, and it seems to come every so many years, and there's a rash of buyouts, and then it kind of dries up a little bit, and everything just kind of aligned. I had several conversations with different people looking to acquire the business, and everything just came together. Tim Mayhew, who was heading up LOH at the time, called me and said, I hear you're selling your business. I said, well, I'm not actively looking to sell. I've been approached, and there were no flights. And he said, I'm driving to Atlanta, and we're going to go have lunch. So no flights, because it was during COVID.
This is during COVID, and Tim Mayhew drove from New York to Atlanta.
Yes, he did.
Such a Tim Mayhew thing to do.
And I remember meeting him, and we went for lunch, and it was a great conversation. And he said, we're going to do this.
Wow.
And I really, I connected with him. It was important for me that whoever I sold to, that I felt would continue the way I had started, sure, understand that part of the business, because that's a big business. There wasn't that many practices that were performing at that level. Absolutely. So do you understand that level of business? Because I wanted to take care of my employees, right, and ensure their future.
Yeah.
And Glenn Reich was their CFO, and I had met Glenn many years before, and super nice guy. So I felt comfortable. I was actually excited to sell to them and join the group.
Just one question, because I know there's some people that they don't have the desire to sell their business, right? Mm-hmm. There's other people in the independent boutique side of eyewear that they have that goal. What would you say, or what would you recommend for people now who do have that goal? What should they know, or what should they do in order to prepare themselves for acquisition?
Yeah, I spent many years. I would say I spent 4 years cleaning it up, in all honesty.
You mean your books?
My books, how the business functioned. I even went through the exercise of several years before talking to someone who wanted to acquire it, just so that I could learn what they were looking for.
Smart.
Right?
Smart.
And the metrics they were looking for. And so I think a lot of small businesses tend to funnel a lot of personal things through their business. They try and keep the tax effect as low as possible, and so they don't declare their full inventory. There's a lot of things, right, from an accounting perspective, that need to be cleaned up. I never worried about that. I'm happy to pay my fair share of taxes.
Sure.
I wanted to show a profitable business over a period of years. And I think so it was squeaky clean when I got to that point.
Gotcha. So clean your books.
Yes, and I had a really good hand on my books. I mean, I did all my own accounting. I had an accountant, but for the most part, I had a really good understanding of my P&L and my cost of goods, and I had a very healthy profit margin.
Wow, amazing. So you sold your business, Salle Opticians, to LOH, and you stayed on Salle Optician for the time you had there, but you also took on a corporate role at LOH as chief merchant. How was that? How was that going from business owner now to C-suite executive? That's a huge, huge change.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that I chose LOH, because I knew that I would have an integral part in the company and the decisions that were being made for the stores, right? And I was still based in my store, so I was able to, be as far as my staff and patients were concerned, it looked seamless because I was still there every day. The transition wasn't super difficult because the same strategies that I had used in my own store were strategies that I brought to the group as far as merchandising. It was just on a much larger scale.
Right.
And the risks were a lot higher. You couldn't afford to experiment the same way as
Absolutely.
you can when it's your own store. So mistakes are expensive mistakes. But it was great. I really enjoyed it. And I think at that time in my life, I was ready for a change. I was ready for another challenge. I've always set myself goals every year. I would set myself a goal that I had to achieve, and then you'd achieve it, and what's next, and let's get the next one, and then you get to the next one. So this was another level of achievement in my mind, and it was exciting to do this.
That's awesome. So it's been going on 5 years since you sold Salle Opticians.
Yeah, January of
next month.
Next month.
Yeah, next month. Going 5 years.
Yeah.
At this point, the store is still there, doing well in Atlanta. Still has your name on it.
Yes.
How does that feel? Do you have any regrets? Do you miss it? Do you miss being in the store?
I do. I miss the patients, quite honestly, because a lot of them became not friends per se, but you knew their families. Right. We connected. We had built a rapport with our patient base. We had trust in them. They'd been coming to us for years, and they would refer people all the time, and that was awesome. Yeah. So I missed that. Before I left, I did call a lot of those people,
nice.
With New Look's permission,
right.
To tell them I was transitioning out. That was really important to me.
Yeah.
And I miss the staff. I missed the daily going in. I'll tell you that I did that drive from my house for how many years, right? Same place. I had the same parking spot pretty much every day.
I didn't think about that.
I'd be on autopilot. And so I'd go down the main road that would be going to Phipps after I had left. I'd find myself pulling into the parking lot at Phipps. What am I doing? I don't work here anymore. It literally autopilot.
Wow. Wow. So after doing that with New Look for that long, when did you feel, okay, I've given all I can to this chapter of my life?
It was, the year I left, I thought about it, long and hard. And, I'd worked continuously for how many years? Right. I really enjoyed my time at LOH, and I enjoyed New Look, and I had some great people. There were a few really good people that I worked with there that I really enjoyed. But I was ready. I was just ready to take a break. I didn't know what I wanted to do next. But I've always been a firm believer in you have to wake up every day with a really great enthusiasm for what you're going to do that day, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's what makes you so effective. That's what makes you good at your job.
Agreed.
And so when I didn't have that feeling every day, I knew it was like, okay, maybe I was just tired.
Sure.
But I was just ready for a break.
Yeah. Now you announced that you were taking a gap year.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know what else to call it, really. It was a break.
Yeah. What is it? What does that mean? What does taking a gap year mean?
Well, a gap means, I don't know. My idea of a gap year was I need to rejuvenate. I need to sit back. I need to look at this. I need to be thankful for, the longevity that I've had in this industry. And then what do I want to do next? Because even though I'm getting older, I still don't feel as though I'm so old that I don't want to do something, right? Yeah. But I just needed a little bit of a break to get a little bit more perspective.
Mm-hmm. Did you learn anything new or different about yourself during this gap year?
Yeah, I like work. I have no hobbies other than red wine. which is a dangerous hobby. But yeah, I mean, I started getting bored, you know, and I told my husband when we made this decision, I said, Lisa, promise me that you won't make any decisions for 3 months. And I said, fair enough.
Wise man.
Right?
Wise
Because
man.
I'm very type A, and you know, then I'm like, oh, I'll buy a farm, I'll do this, so I sat back, I listened to him and said, okay, no decisions for a few months.
Wow.
And that was good.
Yeah. I will tell you, I saw you, I think the first time after your gap year was March at Icon. And I was like, Wendy looks good. I was like, you know, it's like you looked rested, you looked like you rejuvenated. You've been spending a lot of time in Costa Rica at that point.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, you were a little tan as well. So,
Yes.
you know, you looked lighter. You know, you just looked emotionally lighter at that point. Not to say that, you know, you were emotionally heavy at that point, but you looked emotionally just free at that point.
Yeah, you know, I think I just spent so many years where you know, the alarm goes off, you get out of bed, you do your hair, you do your makeup, you go to work, all day at work. And I was working crazy hours, 50 to 60 hours a week. Yeah. I loved it. I'm not complaining, right? Sure. That's what I was used to. But I think, you know, when I took my gap year, I had slow mornings. You know, I could read the news while I'm having a cup of tea, or I've never had that. It was always tea on the go, right. If I was lucky to get a cup of tea, because there was always somewhere I had to be, and I enjoyed that for so many years. Yeah. But yeah, it was a nice break. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I'm sure Lee loved it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure Lee loved it. You know, he loved spending time with you. So I'm sure Lee loved it.
Well, you know, we have a farm.
Yeah.
And so we spent a lot more time at the farm, and spent more time with kids. My kids enjoyed it, believe it or not. But, you know, I'm still young. I want to do something.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've sold your company. You've taken a corporate position. You took a year off to breathe. I think the next obvious question is, what's next? What does the next chapter look like for Wendy Salle?
Well, I think I'm excited for the next chapter. Mm-hmm. And I am going to be joining in January the Kepler team.
Wow.
I will be the director of opticianry and frame merchandising.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
That's huge. Cheers to that.
I'm excited.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that. Well, wait. Does that mean you're back with Tim Mayhew? Oh, man. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I am back with Tim.
Amazing.
And,
amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Right. You know, Tim, we both are very fond of Tim. He's an amazing leader with amazing vision. So I think between you two, again, and the whole team, it's going to be a great chapter.
Well, you know, Tim approached me with, you know, working with him and his team, and we looked at what Kepler needed and what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so it was a conversation, you know, that we kind of met and married both things that I'm passionate about, which is opticianry and frames. And so I'm really excited. He's put a fabulous executive team together with people who have a lot of industry experience and knowledge, and it's a great support system. Yeah. And you know, I'm looking forward to joining the team.
Well, you guys are going to do great. I'll be watching from afar, but I know it's going to go nothing but up. You took a gap year. So how does the Wendy who left LOH differ from the Wendy who is now going into starting with Kepler?
She's a little more rested.
Facts.
Facts. I don't think there's a big difference. I think going into Kepler, you know, obviously I have more corporate experience now than I had initially. And I think I knew what I wanted out of this position, and I had to have a support system.
Sure.
To be successful, to be a merchandiser, you have to be able to translate your message. It's not just about buying product. You know, I'm buying product, and I can see my vision, my goals, the drive. How do I translate that to the practices. And if you don't have practice buy-in, you can't be successful as a merchandiser.
Absolutely.
And in this role, I'm able to marry both. So I can do the training, we can do the launches, and ensure that everything that we institute is successful, that the message is getting through.
I think it's great also because these opticians you're working with, seeing they also have some feedback in a hand into the merchandising leg, they're going to feel very empowered, I feel like.
Well, unless you have optician buy-in, nothing that I do as a merchandiser can be successful. Yeah. So they have to be behind it. And with training them, I'm hoping that I can bring some excitement to the industry. Yeah. The industry is, very near and dear to me. Absolutely. And I want to help train the next generation of opticians. Yeah.
Very important. Speaking of next generation of opticians, I want to talk about my baby, Icon, the next generation of luxury eyewear shows. I had this crazy idea to start this show last year, and I came to you about it. And I don't know who's crazier, me for starting the idea or you for agreeing to be part of my board.
Or saying, that sounds like a great idea.
That sounds like a great idea. I'm going to join your board, absolutely. But why was this type of event, experience, I should say, why was this a platform you wanted to support and get behind?
Well, Vision Expo is changing.
Sure.
Right? And I think for so many years we all relied on the New York, Expo East and Expo West, which then started, has been going south for many, many years. But we relied on Expo East. And over the years, I have become, friends with a lot of my peers. And we used to meet at Expo and, discuss business and bounce things off each other. And we had this group that it was a safe group. We could share things, but be a barometer for the industry. And I was sad that I felt that was going to be lost. I also think, it can't just be about product, right? We have to be able to share knowledge with the next generation of opticians. I think you have to be able to find information if you want to be able to open your own location, your own practice. How do you do it? It's very isolating and it's an expensive venture.
Sure.
So if you can share knowledge with people and you can deliver a platform with icons that allows that and facilitates this sharing, that's important. I also want people in the industry to think of this as a career.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, I think we're in a stage now, if you hear, that trade schools are making a comeback, right? Opticianry needs to be there as a career option, but we also need to treat opticians better than we have historically. They need to be paid more. They need to be paid what they're worth, and they need to be recognized as an integral part of an optometric practice. And that's important.
100%. I think, for me, building Icon, you mentioned keywords, next generation, right? Discovery. I want Icon to be a place that the next generation and the current, that's why the theme is about, honoring heritage and elevating the next generation, that they can discover, new opportunities and new product in the industry. That's why this year, we have this big push for software, within our industry. And I'd love to get your thoughts on it because I remember you telling me that you're involved somehow with a new software company.
I am. I'm going to be joining with an equity position as a consultant, a software company called Welgento. And they have already launched in the wellness space very successfully. They are some super smart people.
You fit right in then.
No. This is way outside my wheelhouse. It's an AI-driven engagement platform. So when you're on Facebook, at 1 o'clock in the morning because you can't sleep, and they can actually engage with you through AI, get your appointments booked, and optometry practices are competitive. It's all about, butts in seats. How do we book more exams? How do we engage with our consumer? And then and keep them engaged. So we can do scheduling through this software, life cycle tracking, and then we're going to add an optical training component too. So whether it's optometry or opticianry, whatever the case may be, and it's all AI driven. Wow. That would be prompted. And so I think it's really important to build this into practices for the future of opticianry. Training people and replacing people is expensive. And so how do you have this place where you can store all your company knowledge, right? And it's there in perpetuity that you can just keep updating, but engage all of your opticians and your employees.
I think that's so important. I think we as an industry, we can't just be fashion, right, or medical. Mm-hmm. We have to evolve now when it comes to the tech, when it comes to the software. We have to embrace this side. What do you say to, even I think back about, before I even go there, when some retailers started selling e-commerce. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like a big disruption in the industry that they were selling e-commerce. And now we've realized, especially through COVID, that we were behind when it came down to e-commerce. So what do you say now to opticians that are a little reluctant to adopt this kind of tech into their practices?
Well, gosh, I mean, 20 years ago, we were reluctant to go away from paper records, to POS systems and that kind of thing. But then people realize how more efficient their business can run. And it does give you a good pulse on your own business. I think we have to progress. And if we don't embrace it, our competitors will. Yeah. It's not my forte. When I join Welgento, it's going to be more advising on the optical side of the industry. I'm certainly, but there's a team of phenomenal AI people. So if you don't know how to do it, and it does confuse you, you need to hire people that embrace it and can use it to your benefit. If you don't evolve in your business, you die. Yeah. I mean, I've just seen too many practices that refuse to change over the years. And they get left behind, that you can't survive. Yeah. And so you have to embrace the next change. Yeah. That's where all these youngsters come in. Absolutely. Hire some young techie people who've had an iPad since they were 3.
I mean, look, I keep a Gen Z on my team,
That's smart.
I keep one on the team, and they're the ones that, help me to embrace, the tech and just new ideas, or to let me know, you think that's cool, Terrence. It's actually not cool. Right? I'm like, I thought I was so cool.
What I mean? I've been doing it wrong all these years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
No, it's important. You've got to embrace it.
Absolutely. Last question. When you look now about the life you've built, the career you've built, the family you've built, what would you say is one of the things you're most proud of?
The fact that I've been able to do all of that. And that. Without sacrificing one or the other, balancing it. I've got a wonderful family, marriage, kids, and I had a fabulous business, and I'm looking forward to the next business chapter. So I think being able to achieve everything that you want to achieve.
I think, honestly, Wendy, I look at what you're doing next with Kepler and Welgento. I don't think this is a Wendy restart from the gap year. I think it's a Wendy evolution.
Ooh.
I think it's an evolution. I can't wait. I'm going to have a front row seat, because I always have a front row seat to Wendy's life. But everyone should definitely follow on. I can't wait to see what happens next. Hey, I want to end with some rapid fire questions. All right.
Oh boy. Okay. I'll ask Let me have a drink.
Yeah,
okay,
have a drink. Have a drink.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you just go ahead and just say the first things that come to your mind.
Okay. This could be dangerous.
It's easy though. So, okay. First one. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Come on.
Pick up my cell phone.
Really? You shouldn't do that, right?
Oh, I know. But it's usually, what time is it? Is it time to get up?
And do you get lost in emails and all that after that?
I try and wait on the emails, but I do kind of look and see if anybody texted me in the night. As I'm getting older, I go to bed a bit earlier, so I might be missing out on some stuff.
Okay, so what's the last thing you do before you go to bed? Check your cell phone. Is it?
Pet my dog.
Okay.
My dog sleeps with me. I
Nice.
have a 16-year-old Shih Tzu, and so I give her a little pet after I've put my phone down.
Yeah, that's healthy though. That's healthy, right?
is,
That's
it
healthy
is.
doing that. Okay, what is something that you used to chase, but no longer matters now?
Ooh. Ooh, that's
big
a
one.
hard
It's a
one.
big question.
What do I used to chase? A feeling of success, like, am I successful?
Yeah.
And not the
Yeah.
money side of success, but
No, I get it. That's entrepreneurs. We feel that way, right?
yeah,
are we
am I
achieving?
doing everything that I could be doing?
Yes.
And it's not that I feel like I've tapped out at that,
Right.
that I can't be more successful. It's just I have a different focus on success now.
Yeah. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we feel that way, right? I mean, the money we know was going to come
Yeah.
eventually, but based off of what I feel my potential is, am I reaching this large
Yeah,
potential?
and I never worried about the money.
Yeah.
Never. I did.
For
When
sure.
I couldn't pay bills sometimes,
Right.
I worried. But I always knew that if I stayed on track and I did what I was supposed to do, that would come.
Yeah. Okay, last one. What is a success that you're proud of that does not show up on your resume?
My daughters.
I knew you were going to say that.
My daughters.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of them.
Yeah.
Both very different, both beautiful in their own ways. Yeah, I'm very proud of them.
Yeah. As you should be. As you should be. And one of them is making you a grandmother, and the other one's getting married soon.
The other one is married. So 2 weddings down. Nicola did a little elope.
Nicola got married?
She did a sneaky.
Good for her.
This last year. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. I want to be her ring bearer, I told her.
I was just grateful I got invited.
That's awesome.
You know?
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
huge.
it was a big year last year.
It was. And now it's going to be a bigger year in 2026.
It'll be a busy year,
It's going to be a busy one.
but I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, so am I. Well, Wendy, thanks for being here. You're welcome back to Eye Conversations anytime. Maybe
Thank
another
you.
year we'll find out what's happening with Wendy, the next chapter. So,
Yeah, I
but
can't wait.
there you go.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.